What's up, guys? Chris Eaton here, Snakes and the Fatman Nation. Man, some people got really mad at my last video. I mean, guys that have been calling me irrelevant for years now dedicated 2 or 3 hours on some of their various shows last week to me, and then proceeded to call everyone not operating at their level of reptile breeding or keeping. They called us bottom feeders. We're all part of a sore loser club, they said. So that's what's going on this week. So which is it? Irrelevant or essential? You can't be both. And really, there's no need to be screaming at the camera like a lunatic at somebody so irrelevant. So, look, calm down, guys, all right? No one ever said that you can't be a successful breeder. Not once in any of my videos did I say that. Your whole hypothetical flip-flopping rant was a straw man argument. And I'm going to put up a description of that term because I'm pretty sure the two of you have no idea what it means. All right, you got that, guys? Look, I have no interest in getting into a YouTube war with a couple of morons. So I'll throw out an olive branch, a little peace offering in the form of a few questions that no one in their right mind could get mad at me about or scream at me for being negative about the hobby. And these questions are open to everybody watching, okay? They're open to all of you, so feel free to leave a comment, because I seriously would like to know the answers. And I'd like to get both sides. I'd like to get the side of the casual keeper and the high-level breeders. Morph Market currently, at the time of me recording this video, has 33,202 ball pythons available for sale in North America. But let's pretend for a minute that those are the real numbers, even though we know that they're not. All right, not with the thousands of animals available by wholesalers. Not with the kids on your block who are currently hatching out their first clutches, and let's not even count the people not on Morph Market. The real number is probably around 75,000 conservatively. But let's just use Morph Market's 33,000 number for this argument. Even with this hypothetical market resurgence that's coming back in 1 to 3 or 5 years, I don't know, whatever you guys are telling people it's going to be this week. Do you really think that a surge could handle 33,000 ball pythons? Hell no. Hell no. That's what the answer is. A surge isn't a magic vacuum that sucks every snake off the shelf. All right, surges are uneven at best. A handful of new or hot genes will get some attention, while the bulk of the snakes sit on that Morph Market shelf like they've been doing for a year or two already. Everyone loves to brag about clutch size and clutch count and new morphs. Nobody's out there bragging about backlog. So my question is, what happens to these 33,000 unsold snakes on Morph Market once this hypothetical surge hits? All right? Forget the fact that if you started breeding ball pythons today, you'd be 33,000 snakes behind. But is putting more snakes into the world growing the hobby when the snakes that you're producing now aren't selling? And since I found out this week that I have to spell everything out so that the peanut gallery can understand it, yes, okay, there will always be high-level, ethical, successful breeders in demand, like Canova or Garrick DeMeyer or Ozzy. But they're not really the problem here, are they? No, it's the wannabes that think they're at the same level as Justin or Ozzy or Garrick that are the problem. What happens to those 33,000 snakes that don't sell on Morph Market? Most people will tell you wholesale, right? They'll just do wholesale. Only the average breeder doesn't have access to a wholesale outlet, all right? Even if they did, all right? Does handing off an animal and hoping that it goes to a good home really helping the hobby grow at all? What happens to those 33,000 snakes that don't sell? All right, do they just get the fire sale treatment? $2,000 snake last year? Cool. It's $300 now. Take it or leave it. $300 snake last year? Ah, cool. Will you take $50 for it? Breeders quietly eat thousands in losses every year just to clear space. Does eating thousands of dollars a year to the point of you falling into debt or losing your house, does that help grow the hobby? What happens to those 33,000 snakes that don't sell? Is every pastel or normal that you hatch out destined for the freezer? If that's the case, then really go yourself, okay? Some animals get neglected or culled. It's not pretty, but when you've got 200 hatchlings, electric bills, and rats to buy, some people just let the weaker ones take care of themselves. Nobody admits this, but it happens all the time. Does that attitude help the hobby grow? I don't know. What grows the hobby, guys? You tell me. All right? Maybe I'm a 52-year-old naive son of a bitch, but I've been diving into Palm Street, and this might be part of a solution. No one outside of people into reptiles already knows what Morph Market is. They don't know what reptile expos are. With Palm Street, if they continue to broaden their horizons on what different reptiles could be sold, they have access to millions of complete outsiders that now could look at this reptile shop, could look at this snake, could look at this black and red lizard and say, wow, does that thing really even exist? Now you've got their interest. And that's how you grow the hobby. People are taking Palm Street for granted as some shit auction site, when in reality, it's literally everything but that. Palm Street, I'm hoping, is the path to outsiders and to the masses, all right? Assuming they're not bought out by some corporate bigwig and they decide screw these weird reptile people and get animals off the platform. And I'm looking at this as someone who will never do a Palm Street auction or have a Palm Street shop. All right, Palm Street would never sponsor someone like me because of my language, my offensive humor, or the fact that I treat branded content like an okay? But I could see the potential in Palm Street 100%. Look, here's the bottom line. The hobby isn't going to absorb 33,000 plus ball pythons every year, okay? There's going to be a growing backlog. Prices are going to crash. And the only way for breeders, or at least most breeders, to survive is by selling the dream to the next guy, who then comes in, cranks out even more snakes, and adds that to the backlog pile. And nobody wants to admit it, but the numbers don't lie. And right now, the math ain't mathin'. The surplus is real. The market's saturated, and a lot of animals are now paying the price for the hype that never matched the reality. I think it's time you stop shitting on the casual breeder or the pet keeper side and be a little more accommodating to them, because no matter how this thing plays out, you're gonna need them. Oh, and one last thing, guys. Are we seriously gonna let this hobby slide into a place where anyone who asks a simple common sense question is gonna get written off as negative or labeled as negative? That's not really constructive, all right? That's lazy as hell. Calling people bottom feeders or failures just because they want clarity on something doesn't make you a leader. It makes you look defensive, okay? And let's be real. If a question about the state of the hobby rattles you that much that your first move is to attack the person asking the question, then maybe the problem isn't that question, okay? It's the answer that you don't want to give. That kind of reaction doesn't protect the reptile community. It shuts it down. And it starts to look less like confidence and more like covering things up. Because at the end of the day, who's going to be more transparent with you? The guy with nothing to gain, or the breeder banking on that $5,000 snake sale? So I'll just ask you straight up, all right? Is honest conversation really negative, or is it just uncomfortable for the people who don't want to be questioned? Ugh, I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, drop a comment. All right, give me a like if you're enjoying these video topics, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that if you like what you're seeing here, and you want to help grow the channel, and you want access to a lot of BTS videos, exclusive videos different series that we have, like storytellers and on, and the open Zoom call for reptile keepers. Stop by and join the old Patreon at patreon.com/the Fatman Nation. I promise that you guys will laugh at least once. All right, guys, take it easy, man.